The rain had a way of remembering the things people wanted to forget. It fell softly over Gangnam that night, soaking the narrow alleys between glass towers, tracing the outlines of secrets people never said aloud. Yoon stood beneath the awning of her family's cafe. Though calling it her family's was generous, it was her parents' pride and her prison. She wiped her tears with the sleeve of her worn cardigan, the same one she'd been wearing since university. Inside, her father's voice roared like thunder. "How many times must I tell you, Yoon? You ruin everything you touch." Her mother's cold silence cut sharper than the words. Her brother leaned back in his chair, smirking, swirling his coffee as if this humiliation were entertainment. It had always been like this. The perfect son, the obedient daughter, and her, the mistake, who dared to dream beyond their cafe walls. She'd tried to build a life outside, tried to study architecture, tried to chase something more than daily scolding and small-town gossip, but every attempt came with the same ending. Her father tearing it apart, calling her ungrateful for wanting more. That night, when her father threw her portfolio into the trash, something inside her finally cracked. "You're crying again?" he scoffed. "You think tears will change who you are? Useless." She didn't reply. She walked out into the rain, barefoot, clutching the soaked sketch of a building she once dreamed of designing, a place full of light, built for people who'd never felt seen. That's when he saw her across the street. A black Bentley idled beneath the street lamp. The man inside was Kim Jun-ho, the quiet, unseen heir to a billion-dollar construction empire. He had stopped to escape a business gala, tired of shallow compliments and scripted smiles. Then, through the fogged glass, he saw her, a girl standing alone in the rain, holding a ruined sketch with trembling hands. There was something raw in her pain, something he recognized from the mirror, the loneliness of being surrounded by people who never really knew your worth. He told his driver to stop. When he stepped out, the rain slid down the sharp edge of his jaw, dark hair clinging to his forehead. "Do you need an umbrella?" he asked softly. She didn't look up. "No one can cover what's already broken," she said, her voice barely a whisper. Something in her tone, fragile yet defiant, made him stay. He found out her name when she dropped her student ID. The next morning, her cafe received an anonymous catering order, one that would keep them busy for months. Her father bragged about it, calling it divine luck. Yoon stayed quiet. She didn't know that the order came from Ju. He had started following her work, the designs she posted anonymously online, the ones her family mocked her for. He didn't interfere. He just watched, silently ensuring that her world stopped falling apart. But peace, like glass, doesn't last long in broken homes. A month later, her brother found her messages with an architecture firm. He accused her of betrayal, of wanting to leave the cafe, to shame the family. That night, during dinner, her father slammed his hand on the table. "You'll do what I say? You think you can survive without us?" When she tried to explain, he raised his hand. And for the first time, Junho, standing outside with her forgotten sketchbook in hand, saw the truth through the cafe's glass window. He didn't move immediately. He was a man who believed in quiet power, not noise. But when he saw her flinch and run out into the street, that belief shattered. She didn't expect to see him there. "Why are you here?" she asked, her voice breaking. "To make sure the rain doesn't drown you again," he said. It sounded ridiculous, poetic, but his tone was steady, grounded, like someone who'd made a decision that couldn't be undone. That night, he didn't drive her home. He took her to a small guest house by the Han River where the city lights shimmered on the water. She told him everything. Her dreams, her shame, her exhaustion. He didn't promise to fix it. He just listened. And that was enough to make her cry. For real this time. Not out of despair, but... He left her a note before dawn. Don't let their voices decide what you're worth. I'll handle the noise. 3 weeks later, Gangnam woke to a rumor. The entire block where the cafe stood. Every shop, every building had been bought overnight by Kim Holdings. Her father laughed it off. Who would buy this old street? The answer came 2 days later, when a convoy of black cars pulled up and a group of architects in tailored suits began measuring the cafe walls. What's going on? Her mother demanded. A man in a gray suit handed her a letter. The property now belongs to KGH Development. Renovation begins next week. Her father stormed out to protest and froze when he saw who stepped out of the Bentley. Junho. He didn't wear his usual calm that day. His eyes were sharp, controlled. I'm not here for revenge, he said quietly, facing her family. I'm here to rebuild something that should have never been broken. Her father scoffed. You think money gives you the right to destroy my business? Junho tilted his head. You destroyed it the day you crushed your daughter's dreams. He turned to Yoon-young, who stood behind him, shaking slightly. You don't owe them your silence anymore. The crowd that had gathered around whispered, cameras flickering, but he didn't care for spectacle. He just took her hand, not to humiliate, but to show the world who she was. The cafe closed that week. Her family left the city, their pride too bruised to stay. But Jung-ha didn't tear the building down. He rebuilt it as a community art studio, filled with light, named House of Dreams. When he handed her the keys, she stared at him in disbelief. You bought the whole street just for this? He smiled faintly. No, I bought it so you'd never cry standing outside again. For the first time, she laughed. It was soft, like sunlight after rain. They didn't fall in love like fairy tales do, not with grand gestures, but with quiet mornings spent sketching together, late nights talking by the Han River, and the gentle realization that sometimes the people who walk into your storms are the ones who never leave. Months later, as the studio flourished, a reporter asked Jung-ho during an interview, why that street? Why invest so much for one old neighborhood? He simply replied, because sometimes healing isn't about erasing the past. It's about rewriting the address of your pain. The story went viral. People called it romantic. Some called it foolish. But for Yoon-young, it was freedom. Years later, the rain fell again. The same soft drizzle over Gangnam. Yoon-young stood under the awning of the rebuilt cafe, now painted white, with blooming flowers hanging from its windows. Junho walked up beside her, holding 2 cups of coffee. Still afraid of the rain, he teased. She smiled. Not anymore. You taught me it can wash pain away too. He handed her the cup. Then let's never run from it again. They stood there together, 2 souls who had once been strangers, now part of the same story written under stormlight. The street that once witnessed her tears now glowed with lanterns, laughter, and music. And somewhere in the hum of the city, the rain whispered a new truth. That love isn't always about saving someone sometimes. It's about building them a world where they never have to be saved again.